everybody, how's it going? It's Chelsea Frederick here, and I am back here with you. I'm about to invite my friend Leah into our call. We have an episode of Girl Talk coming up, so just excuse me while I bring Leah in. It'll just be a moment. And we'll see if Leah's ready to join us. I think that I invited her in. Oh, there you are. Yeah, did you get my invitation? I'm not sure if I added you right. We'll see if Leah can invite herself in. So while we're waiting, I just wanted to let you know what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be sharing our own personal stories about how each of us individually shaped our careers to fit the lifestyles of our dreams. We both kind of ended up in certain situations years ago where, you know, things weren't the way that we wanted them to be, and especially as mothers with, you know, busy lifestyles and busy careers, we really decided that there were certain things that, you know, we needed to shift within our lives. Hey, Daly, how are you? You know, things that we needed to shift and alter. Hi, Leah. I see that you're watching the video. I need to invite you in. Let me try and invite you in again. Here we go. I think that you're coming on now. All right, so my dear friend Leah is going to be joining me momentarily. We're just waiting for her. It says she's being added, but it's taking a little bit of time. So should be on soon. How are you doing, Daly? Hey. How's
Hey,
it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Sorry, that was a little, I'm not sure what happened. I couldn't even see the button to add you, so I'm glad you got in eventually.
I know. I was trying to get in and I'm here now, so
Awesome. We did it. We made
it's
it.
all good. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I was just kind of letting people know as we were getting started on the topic. So I think, well, I'll just share it again. We have Daly here that's watching us. Um, and yeah, she says she's doing good. So yeah, why don't do you want to introduce yourself first and then I'll introduce myself and then we can kind of chat about
Yeah.
the topic.
Yeah, for sure. Well, did you want to just talk about the topic just to like start off a little bit, or you've already done that?
I
I think
did, but
because I
I
did.
think we can do it
Okay.
again, especially because,
Okay.
well, yeah. Either way, why don't you introduce the topic
Yeah.
and yourself?
Oh, no, I introduced the topic. Okay,
Yeah,
so hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad that I was actually able to join this particular live. I think it just gets like more complex to like join lives now. I don't know what it is, but um, so my name is Leah Kozatsky. I am a life purpose and business mentor for spiritual fempreneurs, so spiritual women who have their own businesses and who are here to serve at a higher level. And so what I do is I really take them through this like beautiful process of uncovering, revealing all the things that are holding them back, the things that have been keeping them small, whether that's consciously or unconsciously, and I help them step into that which they really, really, truly are, and allow them to shine for who they are through their life and also through their business. Whether that's startup or you know, take their business and scale it to the next level. So what like the topic for today is really, really I was really excited about it. Actually, I'm excited about every single topic we talk about because it's all
yeah,
about, you know, giving yourself permission to do more, be more. And I, you know, like when we came up with that, um, both of us resonated with it right away, which was give yourself permission to live your dream lifestyle, you know, carry out your dream business and that kind of thing. And for a long time, I struggled with that. So, like, you know, just accepting that this is what I wanted to create for myself, and then being like, I can't actually do that. That's not the norm. What are people going to think about me? And I struggled for a really long time, and I hired tons of mentors to like help me get through that. And you know, there's always been a team around me every single step of the way that I could trust. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this. And I encourage all of you that are watching currently live or in the future to comment below and let us know, where you're struggling. Are you, living your dream life? Are you giving yourself permission to step up and do just that? Or are you just staying, comfortable, like uncomfortably comfortable, living what it is that, just going through the motions, really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and feeling like that's normal, like that's how it should be, right? I think that was a really
I
big
know, right?
kind of learning point for me was I lived a large part of my early adulthood thinking that this is just what adulthood is, like it's supposed to kind of
No.
suck, right? Like it's supposed to be, just slogging away and not really having a lot of fun. And so that was a huge thing for me when like all of a sudden I started learning from mentors that, there is this whole other possibility of how you can set your life up. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like turning the lights on, like that was such a huge, I think that's part of my turning point. So I'll share about that a little bit more down the road. I don't know if Daly left yet, but Daly said she's got to go and she's going to
Mm-hmm.
watch the replay later. So thanks, Daly. Thanks for watching. And hopefully, yeah, if you can catch later and if you have any comments below, we'd love to hear what you have to say about this topic as well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll introduce myself and then we can kind of
Mm-hmm.
get into a little bit more of the details of what we're talking about today. So I'm Chelsea Frederick. I am a naturopath, a transformational healer, and a feminine wealth advocate. And I started off as a naturopath, but even though that's really been kind of my main career for most of my adult life, I've had a lot of other careers kind of interspersed throughout that. I've worked in corporate, I've worked in events, and I've worked at hotels and food and beverage. I've done all sorts of other things just kind of throughout that. And a lot of that was, when I was first getting started to kind of help support that career. And when things were really in transition point as well, because as I'll share down the road with my story, when I decided that I was going to make some changes, there was a bit of a gap in between, actually quite a few years where things didn't quite look the way that I wanted them to, but I knew I was heading in the right direction. So I'll share a little bit more about that. But yeah, just in general with the work that I do, I love helping women, especially women that have gone through a major a transition in their life, a major trauma or a struggle. And, they're really at that stage where they're ready to rebuild their lives. They may still have some residual healing to do from that particular trauma, but also potentially some residual healing from their childhood, and not even just healing, but unlearning. So one of the things that I think
Mm-hmm.
is important is that, and we don't ever really think about this unless, we start talking about it, is we just receive this messaging from our upbringing. And a lot of it can relate to money. A lot of it can relate to work and career and, what kind of is like the right way to do things. I mean, we all sort of see that even in the media and in movies, that there's like the right way to live your life. You go to school, you get married, you have kids, and then you live happily ever after, right? And so,
Yeah.
I think we both found that number one, I know for me, kind of, I've always wanted to do things differently. Like that's always just sort of in my personality to not go with the pack. I think I've always sort of chosen things that have been a little bit different, but then I've even wanted to take it further, right? So I think that it's just kind of one of those things. It's almost like, I mean, even my Facebook group is called Rebel Grace Squad. There's always just been this like rebellion within me to just not really want to fit into the mold. I think I find the mold to be an uncomfortable place to be, and I lived it for a while there. So as we go through, we're going to talk a little bit more about all of these things that you and I have been through. I know they've been interesting, exciting
Yeah.
journeys. I'd love to hear about how because we were talking about this before. I don't know if I don't know what Leah's about to say because we don't really know our stories in this detail,
Just
right?
a
So
divine download.
yeah. So I'm really excited to hear your story and I'm excited to tell you my story. So why don't you take it away and tell us how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So decades ago. Actually, before I begin, I just want to tell our audience that, sometimes like when we're sitting on the fence when it comes to decision making on, whether we should jump, basically, is what I keep on doing faster and faster, jumping into the unknown, trusting that, universe will hold me and it'll all work out. When you're at that place where you're just sitting on the fence and you're not making a decision, that in itself is making a decision to just sit on the fence, right? And so then a lot of times, like, we'll question, why aren't things working out for me? Why isn't it, happening the way that I see other people, like thriving and launching their own thing, living the lifestyle that they desire. So just know that you can be fully supported, whether you choose a mentor or whether you decide on the next step in your path. Like, you are always divinely and guided and supported. And I'd love to know from our audience, like, are you sitting on the fence, right? Like, are you just sitting there being like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I don't know how I'm going to make my next move. And this ties into, it's really interesting. I saw my very first mentor. She had a photo shoot with her wife in, I think it was in Italy. And I was like, so I remember this story. It was so cool. It's like still in my mind on, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago when I wanted to take the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship fully. At the same time, I had a translation and communications agency that I was managing, and I was working a full-time job, had 2 babies, a husband, and a white picket fence, right? And there I was on the phone with this one coach who, is a great transformational coach, and transformation in business. And I remember her just waiting for me to be like, you know what, make the decision. And I was like, I think I was asking her for permission to make a decision. And like that to me, like, that happens on sales calls now all the time, like, should I take the leap? Is this a good thing? Will I fail? Will I succeed? That kind of thing. And I remember being on the phone with her and being so scared to like give her my credit card information. And I was like, but she was not, it was like, she was just the vehicle for that transformation. It wasn't like she was going to change my whole world around. It was that moment, that decision that I was about to make. And the decision was, do I leave my corporate job, which I was getting paid so well? I had like great status, huge package of benefits. People were like, well, why would you ever leave that? Yeah. And I was like, well, because my body tells me to leave. Like, I actually physically have to leave, not because I don't love the people that I work with, but I do have to serve at a higher purpose. And if I don't do it now, then when will it ever happen? And so I came across this mentor that was like, like, I had seen what she had done, and she had done what I was looking to do as well, which was to build an online business or just a coaching practice in general. And I remember thinking, like, how can this actually happen? And I came across this book, Chelsea. I don't know if you ever read it. It's called, I think, Energy Squared.
No.
By Pamela Grout or Pam Grout.
No.
Yeah, it's like a E and a 3. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so at that time when I was speaking to my potential coach at the time, and I was supposed to go to an event of hers in Denver, Colorado, and I was like, is this the right thing? I need a sign. Universe, I need a sign. And I was just like new to all this stuff. And I remember saying, okay, well, Denver. So the animal, I don't know how I knew this, but the animal for Denver was, oh no, I remember. Okay. So I said, universe, I need a huge sign. Send me a huge sign. And it has to be a bear. I don't know. It's like random.
Yeah.
It has to be a bear, like a big ass bear, right? Like not just like a little teddy bear. So, that evening, I found out that I think one of like the animal that represents Denver is a bear, like a grizzly bear. And that evening, like, I didn't really get signs and stuff, but I was driving home. It was 11:30 p.m. I had like 30 minutes to make my decision. I like just randomly turned on the radio. What were they talking about? Grizzly bears.
No way.
Yeah, I was like on CBC, right? I was like, what? Okay, fine. So then I made my decision. I didn't look back after that. And it was one thing after the other. And I have to say that the road less traveled is sometimes hard, right? Like it has its set of challenges and
Oh
lots of
yeah.
up leveling and ascension and healing and, going back to like past patterns and stuff like that. Um, but I can't imagine it any other way today. Like I wouldn't have been able to sit in my cubicle knowing now, what is different and what is offered to me. So I decided that I wanted to create my dream life, and that's what I do. That's what I do to help other people as well,
Hmm.
like create their dream life.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's so inspiring. It's
Yeah.
amazingly inspiring to
Thank
be able
you.
to help others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So how, I guess, what are you offering right now? Like, what is it that you offer to help people with their own transformation?
Okay, so yeah, that's a great question. So right now, it's funny because my kids, they were telling me, when you get a real job, can you like work at a daycare so we can come and visit you and hold the babies? It's like,
A real
guys,
job. I
I do a real job.
Mhm.
They're so funny. So, yeah, so right now what I do, I actually have launched a program called the Rich Mama Mind Academy. And what it is it helps women. So it's a 4-month online intensive that helps women that want to create that dream lifestyle and that dream business that they
Mhm.
have been holding back on for so long. Just like propel it forward and be like, okay, now I'm making the decision. I'm going to go all in and figure out what, well, what is underneath all that stuff that I need to like liberate so that I can create what it is that I desire.
Mhm.
And the other day, I was on the phone with a client of mine, a private client, and I said to her, like, have you written your dream day? Like, have you written it out?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I've heard of that, but no. And I was like, but that's the real work right there, right? Like is to actually write it out, like create what it is that you want to live and
Mhm.
make it happen. Like if you don't know where you're going, then you'll just follow the motions, kind of like what we all did
Yeah.
growing up and then became an adult, and we're like, is this what adulthood is? Because it's kind
Mhm.
of boring and sucks, and I have to like take medication to like numb it. Right?
Right. Or drink
Like
wine
that
all
is not
the
cool.
time.
Or drink wine like all the time. So not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just, yeah. So that's what I do is I help them step into their power in doing like different healing modalities, different manifestation practices, daily practices, and take them like through a personal, practical journey on how to set up their business, and get their message out there so it creates a huge impact, and make money too, which is
Mhm.
huge for a lot of people because they're offering their services, and so there's a lot of like money mindset work as well. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm doing. So yeah, if basically that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say we did put Leah's booking link on our the topic of this page. So if you are
Mm-hmm.
in the Rich Mama Mind, or even just chatting with Leah and just chatting with with her about your personal situation, like if you are sitting on the fence, I think it might be worth having a chat about, what does that look like? And I think like what you said about writing out your ideal day.
Mm-hmm.
When I was listening to you talk about that was a huge part of my transformation and my transition as well, was getting really clear. And what is so incredible to me is that I am now living what I wrote to be my ideal day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was about 2012. So like I said, for me, it took a couple of years to get there. There were some things that I needed to really shift. And of course, things were, all sorts of, there's a few adventures in between. I had a baby, and a couple of other things
Mm-hmm.
happened, but yeah, to have that clarity and to have it written down, you're declaring it, you're requesting for it, you're essentially praying for this beautiful future. And when you do
Mm-hmm.
that, when you have that bravery to actually you know, not only envision it, but to get so clear, like by the detail, you know, like what does it really, really look like? And you've written it down. You know, I've seen this time and time again. I've started to really write down, you know, the things that I really am wanting for my life. I was looking through a journal where I was writing things down just a year ago. Every single thing happened. It's just amazing. I think it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, yeah. And it's great to write it down so you can always look back. It's one thing to ask out loud, but sometimes
Mm-hmm.
forget what we asked for. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, building on that, I'm going to be totally transparent in telling our audience before we hear all about your awesome story,
Mm-hmm.
um, that, you know, before our call, this particular call, we were like, oh, is this our dream lifestyle? Right?
Yeah.
And so both of us were kind of questioning, but not questioning like, you know, no, this isn't our dream lifestyle, but it was more like, are we actually like right now currently living our dream lifestyle? And when we thought about it, we're like, well, wait a second, like we've gone this far. This is our dream lifestyle. Now we can see even further,
Yeah, we want
right?
more.
Yeah,
You know, like
desire
a
more.
lot of.
And don't feel bad about it. Like we don't have to ask for permission to want more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's such a good point because it's like, well, and I think that, you know, as you're always progressing and growing and, you know, just getting stronger and stronger at what you do,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and things can shift. I think that's the other thing is no matter where you think you want to be, sometimes you get there and it doesn't quite look like you want it. So, you know, it's always okay to change your mind and it's always okay to shift. And, you know, I think for me, that's a big part of my story was just, you know, really realizing that it was okay to change my mind, you know, and
Mm.
even though, you know, with me, I had, you know, put a lot of money into the education and the career that I wanted. And it was horrifying to me to get to this point where I was like, do I really like this? Like, I spent years and years in school, so much time in my early 20s, you know, when I could have been having a lot more fun, which is fine because it was a wonderful experience. But to get to that point where I was questioning, like, did I make a mistake? You know, did I do the right thing? And it was a huge relief off my shoulders to actually realize that it's okay, you know, that it's okay to change your mind and it's okay to shift your direction, no matter what stage you're at. It's always okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's huge.
mm-hmm. This
It's
might be a
huge.
little bit distracting. I'm looking at myself
What
on
is
the
it?
screen and I feel like I look almost like jaundice. So just excuse me while I
What? Really?
change my lighting. That's better. I was like, why do I look yellow? You look like you've got this beautiful glow and I'm
Really?
here all
I
yellow
was
this
looking I
time.
was looking at mine and I was like, yeah, this is a bit like bright.
I know. Well, it's the funny thing about doing these lives is you're actually staring at your own face as you're doing this.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can get,
Yeah.
you know, a
Yeah.
little bit distracted. So apologies, but so I
Okay.
can go on
So
and
tell us about you. Tell
yeah.
us about you, what you do, what you love, what, you know, what, how you serve.
Hmm. Well, I'm going to share a bit about my story and just kind of like my journey first, and then I'll go into that a little bit more. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this, so I started out. I mean, I knew that I wanted to be in some form of healthcare or be in some sort of healing modality, and so I studied to be a naturopath, and that was all in. It was 8 years of school, and
Wow.
I've always loved, yeah. I've always loved just, you know, looking at how the body heals and just knowing that the body has this amazing natural ability to heal. And that's always been a really fascinating part of it with me. But what happened was, so I started working with clients and I started, you know, having people come to me. I was kind of like a generalist. I mostly worked with women, but it wasn't necessarily any specific health concern or issue. So I had, you know, people coming to see me, and I got quite busy and, you know, things were going pretty well. And then I started to notice this pattern. And what I noticed was that each and every one of my clients, or at least the majority of them, had this underlying issue. And it wasn't necessarily that they had a rash, and it wasn't necessarily that the joints hurt or they had, you know, digestive issues or chronic headaches. They all had the same underlying issue, and it was stress. And not only that, there was a lot of the same stuff that we're talking about, a lot of discord with the way that they were living their lives. Either they didn't like their career, or, you know, they were having trouble in their relationships, or, you know, there was some trauma that they had been through. And so I found that within my visits with these clients, I mean, they came to me for physical ailments, and they kind of wanted, of course, which is the model, you know, a remedy for that, right? That's kind of the way that it works. You know, I come to you with a cold, the person's going to give me, you know, a cold remedy, right? But I really wanted to address, I didn't want to just sit there, there's an elephant in the room, right? Like, I didn't want to just give them a remedy and say, see you later, you know. I wanted to really address the root cause. I wanted to go deep. I wanted to talk about what was in their heart, what they really desired for their lives, what they really wanted. Yeah, I wanted to talk about their hopes and their dreams. I wanted to help them heal on that deep, deep level. And I found that, I think it was just sort of the model. I mean, they were coming in to see me because that was kind of what they expected, right? They were just going to leave with, you know, some pills. And so, you know, not everyone that came to see me was receptive to that. I think that, you
Yeah.
know, a lot of them felt almost like too exposed or uncomfortable. So I think that that was the big thing for me. I had this practice, you know, that was doing quite well at a certain time, but, you know, there was this mismatch or discord with the way that I wanted to help and with what they were kind of expecting. So what I ended up having to do is basically dismantle my practice and start over and shift newly. And around that same time, this was kind of before I realized that I had other options. You know, I was working within a model of what I had learned in school, like, this is how you do it, you know, and there's no real other way. And I remember just feeling trapped and stifled, and really just was also kind of in like an awkward contract situation or a clinic situation at the time. I had some relationship things going on at the time as well. So there was a lot of upheaval happening in my life all at the same time. It was like things were just imploding left and right. But I think that was the message for me. It was, you know, Chelsea, like, look at how you're living, look at how you're working, and what can you do differently? And I have a very, very clear moment that I will never forget, that was just, it kind of opened me up to this new direction. And I was just at home late at night, folding laundry, feeling so stressed. And so I had my daughter at the time, and she was quite young. And, you know, I was just kind of watching Facebook videos as I was folding my laundry. And I clicked on this one video, and it was this woman talking about the importance of precious self-care and the importance of leaning into your pleasure. These were the kinds of things she was talking about. And if you remember, I don't know if if you happen to catch the beginning of this video, I was talking about how, as an adult at that time, I kind of just felt like, or thought, that that's just what adulthood was like that it's uncomfortable, it's stressful, you got to worry about the bills, you know, you don't get to have any more fun. And here's this woman talking about leaning into your pleasure and treating yourself well. And that was such a foreign concept to me at the time. And even just the concept of like actually creating my life in a way that fits what I want, what I desire for my life. And so the beautiful thing is she was promoting a type of coaching called lifestyle design, which is what all of that basically is about. It's like, you know, first you learn how to design your own life the way that you want it to be, and the way that fits the lifestyle you want to live, and fits the, you know, everything. Like, it just encompasses everything, where you write out your day, your ideal day, and then it's learning how to help other people do that same thing. So that was it for me. I signed up. Of course, it took some time. I had to basically dismantle my life the way that it was at the time, and make some pretty extreme changes. As I mentioned before, you know, I had a couple of other careers in between that, you know, just to kind of, you know, of course you need to pay the bills as you're rebuilding and trying to make a change. So, and for me, one of the really big ones, especially being a mom, is to be able to work from home. You know, that clinical setting, it just wasn't for me. And so to be able to actually be at home, to just, you know, be in a very comfortable setting. I still have some clients that come to my home, but also to be able to work online and to be able to help people. They can be on the other side of the world, which is so great. And it's really all kind of getting to the heart of what I wanted to help those clients with back in my practice. It's helping people get to the root of what is making them so unhappy, what's actually causing so much stress that it's starting to show physical signs in their body. It's helping them heal, and it's helping them make really clear and conscious choices, to be really deliberate, and to know that they are so worth that, to know that they deserve to live a life that is actually fun. Like, adulthood can be fun, it can be pleasurable, it can be enjoyable, it can be exciting, so that's really it. And exactly like what you were saying, I'm here at this point where I am now, and this was what I dreamed of. I'm living what I dreamed of, back, I think it was in 2012. And now I'm at that point where I see an even better future. I see, like I said, I want more, I want more of this. So it's kind of this, what I'm living now, but on a more amplified level. And for me, that really includes traveling. That's one thing that is, like, actually be able to travel while I work, to be able to host beautiful events and amazing cities, to help groups of women go through this incredible transformation process, this transformative process. One thing that I forgot to mention about what I'm doing right now that I absolutely adore, this is something I've dreamed of for so long, and we're just kind of launching it soon, is to work with stylists and designers and photographers. So I think the most exciting part of having someone's journey actually realized is to have photographic evidence of it, to actually clients do this beautiful photo shoot where, they've healed, they've actually, their energy is, they're just glowing from the inside out. And, to be able to capture that, and for them to actually have that evidence and bring it with them. I know for me, I did that. And sometimes, like, we always still have days where we might feel not quite as glowing as we always feel. And those photos really keep me going. They remind me of that light that's always there, and just sometimes can get dimmed by, just the little day-to-day things that used to affect me a lot more than they do now, let me tell you. But
yeah, so tell us about your program. People.
Yeah. So the program that I am offering,
we'll get in touch with you.
Yes, absolutely. The program that I'm offering right now is called the Comeback Queen. I love working with women that have been through, a difficult time in their life, and they're really ready. It's called the Comeback Queen because it's all about just helping, through the healing process. So we do, some of the deeper healing that's still needed. We also look at overall wellness. We look at diet, nutrition, anything like that, exercise that needs to be incorporated into their lifestyle. We look at pleasure. We look at really overall, getting so clear on what they want for their lives. And also just making sure that they're following that path. So helping women, if they are at that stage where they're wanting to, start their own business, or, they're wanting to really take a look at how they're manifesting great things in their life. Looking at how they view money in general. I think so many of us have, we grew up with this really dysfunctional view of money. And, we really, I think a lot of people are starting to find, that has such an impact on their ability to manifest and to attract money and positive financial situations into their lives. So, that's a big part of my teaching as well. And really, it's overall just helping them basically step into the new life that they're wanting to design. And of course, we include the photography and the style. Just it's kind of a fun, it's like the icing on the cake. It's like, and it becomes this beautiful gift, which I just love. So I work with my local clients for that, I should say. I do work with clients all over the world. And, of course, if you want to fly over here and do a photo shoot, or, we can always help encourage my clients to set that up in their own city. But that's basically it. It's kind of like, just being able to have that, that culmination and that beautiful experience that they've arrived, really. And of course,
I love that.
Continue on.
Yeah, I love that. It's that they've arrived. So they like dismantle everything and then they build it back up, and sounds beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you're gonna post the link on how people can contact you as well.
Yeah, they're both, I
Okay.
posted them already. Yeah, so they're both already up
Ah,
there,
okay,
just above if
cool.
anyone's looking for them. So Leah's is
Awesome.
Meet with Leah, and mine's a little bit longer, but you'll see my name in it. Hey, Valerie, I just want to say hi. There's a few people that I don't know if they're still here, but we had quite a few lovely ladies come and join us. We had Daily, hi, I think Daily left already, and Shaz and Heather, Violetta, Eileen, and Valerie. So thank you
Hi.
so much for watching,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. And if you have any questions or comments you're watching in the future, by all means, tag us in this post and let us know, like what's that next step you need to take to give yourself permission to carrying out and living that dream lifestyle that you desire. I love how the notifications come in on Facebook Live and then it just pauses everything. But the joys of Facebook Live, um, it's raw and it's real. So, but yeah, I want to know, like we both want to know, like what you're struggling with, why you aren't living the lifestyle that you desire, what is holding you back, or where do you feel the resistance is coming from in taking that next step?
Yeah,
Whether it's,
yeah.
hiring a mentor, whether it's, jumping,
Mhm.
whether it's making that phone call or leaving that relationship, whatever it is, I'd love to hear about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope that what we're talking about, maybe sparked something within you, like, because sometimes we're afraid to say this stuff out loud. I know when I
Mm-hmm.
first kind of had that realization that okay, well, I've got some shifts that I need to make in my life, and they're kind of big, and of course because I had gone to school and I just to actually make that big change of like I felt like, and I still use a lot of my training, but back then it felt like I was just like wiping the slate clean, and that can be scary. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's, what, you're more important than that. It's so important for anyone that's kind of watching and maybe resonating with this to realize how valuable you are and important you are, and it's important that you are lit up and happy. And so if you feel like you need to change your mind, here's your permission to do that. And
Here's your permission slip.
that's right.
I do have to jump off because with my lifestyle, I decided to pick up my kids every day at 2:30
Mm-hmm.
from school. But I also wanted to mention, for those of you that are like, yeah, but you guys are you, and you can do those things, but I can't, kind of thing. I do want to remind everyone that both Chelsea and myself were at very, very different stages in our life, like not like barely even a year ago.
Mm-hmm. So
And
true.
like the tremendous amount of change and shifts that occurred in such little time, I have to say that, we didn't do it alone, that this was
Mm-hmm.
with the help of very powerful mentors that held our hands when it was, time for us to make the leap. And really in every step of the way, in every stage, in the way that you talked about, your first mentor with the lifestyle design to like our current mentor. And there are so many other mentors in between, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so much easier to do it when you're fully supported. I mean, not that you aren't alone, but it just like goes so much faster. And I would highly, highly encourage whoever is like thinking about even just having a conversation with one of us or even both of us to just like,
Yeah.
have that conversation so that, we can see your blind spots and see what's going on in your life and how you can make that change for the better.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep you. I don't want you to be late. I don't know what time it is even. Are we doing okay
It's
for time?
2:30.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
2:30. I have to
So
leave.
we're gonna
Yeah.
wrap up. Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much for being here, Leah. I always enjoy,
Yes, thank you,
love
Chelsea.
our weekly chats, our girl talks.
I know.
And so we'll be back again next Thursday. We don't know what our episode is yet. So if you have anything that you want to hear about, comment below, send us a message. Otherwise, we will come up with it on our own. The topics are just endless when it comes to giving yourself permission. So we will see you again next week. Lots of love. Bye, Leah. Say hi to
Bye.
kids. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Chelsea.
Thank you.